Hi guys, and welcome to Upscale, Season 2, the podcast for dreamers, designers and entrepreneurs. So over the past 6 months or so, we've had some really exciting things going on at Unbox. We've built some brands from the ground up, taking into account everything that's been going on over the past 6 months. We've pivoted some other people's businesses, moving them online and all sorts of exciting things, which I'll be touching on over the next few weeks. Today, I'm being joined by Anthony Logan from Noir Agency, based in Manchester. He has taken his agency on the road and is continuing to travel, probably during one of the most difficult times to travel, and continuing to run the agency. He's been featured in 30 Under 30 to watch in Manchester. They were named Startup of the Year at the Digital Entrepreneur Awards, and he's had a number of articles featured in Forbes. Hi, Anthony. How are you doing?
Hi, mate. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Thank you for having me. I hope the connection is okay. I'm just currently in Istanbul at the moment.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's mad. So how long have you been traveling for?
I sort of left the UK in about, I think it was like mid-May, just sort of after the lockdown and started to ease. Yeah, and I've come back to the UK since then for a few meetings, but I've pretty much been hopping around Europe since then. It's been quite an interesting 5 months.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And what made you kind of go traveling at this time?
I mean, we all got hit pretty bad back in March when this first happened. And I think it just allowed us all to take quite a lot of time to really think about, what we wanted in our lives. I mean, I don't know about you as an agency, but for us, we kind of lost the majority of our clients in the space of 2 weeks. Like every day was pretty much a bad day, bad news. And understandably, people had to cut budgets, and people were really unsure about, if they could even keep their business going. So, there was no problem on our side. We completely understood what was going on, but it was a very uncertain and scary time. And I think for me personally, what I kind of just had to look inwards at, okay, so this is what's happening right now. This is beyond our control. But what we do need to think about is, how we're going to survive, how we're going to keep people in jobs, and how can we pivot as a business. So took quite a bit of time, really thinking about first personally, like what makes me happy, and then what would be good for the team as well, and what makes other people happy, and how can we still deliver to clients once things do get going again. So like every agency at the time, we looked at where we could cut costs, and obviously we weren't in an office anymore, and we were just coming to the end of our contract. So fortunately, getting rid of the office was the first thing we did. And then we all started working remotely. I'm sure it's the same with you guys. Suddenly going from being in the boardroom, having creative sessions, to all sat on Zoom thinking, how did this happen?
I completely agree. I think the best thing about our line of work is that you can work remotely, and we have the privilege of being able to be connected with people anywhere, all over the world. And I mean, for me, for instance, yes, we've been home working for the past 6 months. Yes, we got rid of our studio also, and I don't think we'll be returning to it for at least 12 months, or looking into getting another one. But during that time, we've taken on 3 new guys, and where I would only hire people based in and around sort of Dorset, which is within, sort of 10, 15 miles. We've got someone up north working for us. We've got someone overseas. We've got someone in London. And it's great, the tracking tools, everything that's available for project management, time tracking, communication. I mean, I'd love to be doing what you were doing and traveling around and being able to work where I wanted. But yeah, no, it's an amazing time. So before we get into sort of a bit more about what's happened over the past 6 months and what your plans are going forward, tell us firstly a bit about who you are, what you do, and a bit about your background and your history.
Hey, yeah. So I started Noir in 2016. Sort of experience prior to that, it's a bit like an art school dropout. Education just really didn't didn't go down well with me. I kind of struggled to focus at school. Didn't really enjoy sort of learning at this point, and also I'm quite heavily dyslexic. And back then, they just did not pick up on that sort of stuff at school. So yeah, I think I always say I kind of like started my education after I left school. So I've kind of been learning ever since then, and always consider myself a student now. But yeah, so in terms of experience, I first started a fashion and lifestyle magazine called La Vida when I was in my early 20s. Had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Worked, like a dog. Every 100-hour weeks, completely burning myself out, with no like clear direction of how to run a business. So I kind of exited that after a couple of years, and then had this amazing opportunity to join a new startup called PrettyLittleThing.com.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so it was an amazing opportunity. I learned so much. There was only 3 of us in a really tiny office to begin with, and I was just a graphic designer for them. So I do a lot of the advertising. I created like a magazine for them, and then I spent a lot of time just learning about the user experience and redesigning parts of the website. Eventually, I got to build out a team of designers, and I became the head of design there. And I absolutely loved it. It was an incredible experience, extremely fast paced. Sort of went from a couple of us to 100 of us like overnight. It felt like, but after a few years, I kind of decided I wanted a bit more freedom as a designer, and I think this happens to most graphic designers. I didn't just want to work with one brand. Wanted to try my hand with lots of different types of brands in different types of industries. So I kind of set up as a freelancer, and just started working and approaching different startups, and the usual way as a freelancer, mates of a mate, just lots of people trying to intro me to lots of different people. And fortunately, I got to work with some really cool people. One of them was Snoop Dogg, so actually
Oh,
got
that's
to
sick.
design some of his event posters. So yeah, that was an interesting client. And then after a few years, and ending up in quite a bit of debt, because I was kind of living beyond my means at this point, I decided that I think you might have seen it on my story on my Instagram. There's like a my story section that kind of
Yeah,
opened up
yeah, no,
about it.
yeah, and I loved it. It was extremely transparent. I think you were going off the title as the honest entrepreneur at the time. Was that right? And you
Yeah,
kind of,
so something like that. Yeah.
yeah, but I like it. It's the truth. I think the thing is, when people start these businesses, they paint out that it's all sunshine and roses, but actually it's hard graft. And I mean, it's funny because what you said about being recognized as dyslexic at a later age, I actually had exactly the same thing. I went to a specialist school for dyslexia because my brother went there as boarding school, and they actually
Oh
didn't
wow.
even they didn't realize that I was dyslexic until I got to university. Which was
Yeah, that
just
is
the most,
insane.
yeah, which is the most bizarre thing. But yeah, I did the same. I dropped out of uni twice, and you don't know what you're going to do, but you start freelancing, and then you take on more clients, and it grows from there. And it's yeah, it's an interesting journey. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
so it's
after you kind of went from there, so tell me how the story continues.
yeah, so I decided that I kind of needed to get my shit together, to be honest, and so I did a bit of brainstorming, went back to live with my parents at sort of like 27 years old, I think I was, and decided to create like an agency, and actually, build something bigger than me, just as a freelancer. And obviously, I had a lot of experience in building brands, so I thought, I think it's time for me to try and build my own one. So that's kind of Noir was born. That was 2016, and yeah, and in the beginning, I'm sure it was exactly the same for you, but I'd kind of go out, pitch the clients, come back, write more decks, sign the client, do the work, stay up all night, live off peanuts, and just keep trying to, grow incrementally. And eventually, I think it was after like 6 months, got to a point where I was like, I had like 5 or 6 people in the team. And we're suddenly going from, winning, £500 projects to sort of £20,000 projects. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is this is fast. And I think that's where a lot of our problems then started. Kind of grew way too fast, and it's a very saturated industry that we're in, and there's a lot of other agencies, and it becomes much more about how many people are in the team and how big the office is, and just got quite distracted really into what was really important. So those lessons were extremely painful, but invaluable at the same time.
From you describing that story, it is exactly the same as what happened to me. We started out, we grew extremely quickly and were signing work on left, right, and centre. And it must have been about 2016 or 17. And we were hiring graduates and students. Our processes weren't refined. And we grew really quick. And then the bubble burst. And then we came crashing back down. And then you think you
Yeah,
learn
and
from
that's
all
the
your
reality
mistakes.
check, isn't it?
Yeah, it is reality check, and you think, right, what mistakes did I make? How can I stop that from happening again? How can I refine my processes? And then you obviously start getting the right people in and kind of moving it on from there. So what happened from there?
So yeah, we kind of had to I think there's been a few versions of Noir now. We kind of had to readjust and pivot and change and really just think about, what's the company actually about and what we're actually doing for people. Because you can get in a bit of a hamster wheel of just trying to win work to be able to keep paying for staff, and then trying to hire more talent to work within the agency and trying to get more clients to work. And then you're just continuously doing this. And I think what happens is you end up not working with the best clients, not really enjoying it yourself, because it just becomes about winning work and trying to get
factory, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's not what, for me as a graphic designer, that's not why I wanted to do this. And I think it's quite easy to fall into that and get a little bit confused and sort of just not get your values in the right place in terms of, why are we doing this and what's it for? Well, we want to create beautiful work and we want to help people. Like for me, that's what it's about. I want to create beautiful brands that actually impact people in the world. So when we looked at that, we're like, well, we need to stop working with these kind of clients because they didn't even, they were just not the right kind of people to work with. So, and then we really need to think about what's the process that we go through, and then also, really stick by that process. We believe in it. We believe in having strategy behind design, and we don't just knock out logo to people. We build brands, and we build brands that are going to last and that are adaptable brands that can grow with the business. I think there's a lot of agencies out there, especially when we were first starting, we were probably one of them that, you produce some work and then a year down the line, they're probably going to need a new website and a new brand because you didn't put enough time and effort into getting it perfect. So I think we've kind of perfected that now. I'm sure, there's always room to grow and I love to learn, and there's some amazing resources out there. Me personally, I don't have any qualifications in business or really in anything. I've just always loved design, and for me, that's what's always kept this fire burning. So yeah,
I know, I love it. And do you know what? I've watched your journey over the past few years, and it's been incredible. And do you know what? It was the most bizarre thing. Obviously, the listeners don't know, but I managed to get a trip with my girlfriend before the restrictions obviously came in place with isolation for a couple of weeks, and we went over to Spain. And I had Noir and kind of Anthony's Instagram pop up, and little did I know he sat right next to me. So, and this is kind of what kicked off this conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, and obviously I'd seen your work as well, and I do think we've got quite a similar style and taste in design. So yeah, it was really, really nice to meet you, and lovely that that you obviously came over and you said some really nice things about our work and as an agency, and I think that's what it should be like in the industry. I think it's quite competitive what we do, but I just love seeing great work, and I've gone through a few of your case studies and stuff, and you've got a really awesome team and they're doing some amazing stuff. So, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. So I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but over the past 6 months and since you've been traveling, how have you found that it's kind of changed how you operate? It's affected maybe how you work, how you find new clients. What's kind of changed for you?
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm honest, not a huge amount has changed in terms of how we do the work. I mean, I think a lot of this, it comes down to two things, freedom and trust. We're now there's a lot more freedom to people to work kind of on their terms, and especially within with the people I work with, everybody now has a lot more freedom to work the hours they want to work, and in wherever they want to work and how they want to work. And I think, before we were having meetings, like I said, in our creative brainstorming room, and, now we're having these over Zoom, and we can all be anywhere. And I think that's great. And I think what happens when you first start a business is you seem to think that you need to kind of like manage everyone and, really make sure that everything is super organized. And, I feel like you don't put enough trust in people. And we especially, we didn't in the beginning. And now, that there's so much trust in the people that I work with. We all love what we're doing, and we're all doing like the job that we've always wanted to do. So I completely trust them, and I do not mind when that work gets done and where they are. So I think it's really good in some respects what's happened, because it's kind of like shackles off, like, give people more freedom and trust them. If they're good at what they do, then let them work on their terms instead of yours. So yeah, I'd say that that's been one of the major things. And in terms of like winning new business and stuff, it's been really interesting. Like I said, I've traveled all across Europe, and we've picked up quite a lot of clients. Like when I was in Lisbon, luckily managed to become good friends with one of the head of brand for Domestos, Unilever. And now we're starting to do some work with Domestos, which has been quite cool. Some sort of digital strategy work and some creative work. And tomorrow I leave Istanbul and I'm going over to Dubai to meet with one of our clients. And I'd say actually moving around I feel like I'm just super networking now, but in different countries. And everywhere I go, I'm trying to meet up with like other digital nomads, and just sort of like hitting up different contacts in different places and seeing if anyone knows anyone that I can have a meeting with, and just seeing what sort of business comes from that. But fortunately,
sorry to interrupt you. I think the interesting thing about traveling around is not only, like you said, you create a network of people. When you're approached to projects, it makes you more of a well-rounded individual, and I think it gives you different outlook and perspective on how to approach different types of projects. Makes you more cultural, and I think it's really interesting what you're doing. So how do you think the past 6 months has affected how you operate?
Yeah, so in terms of like actual operations, not a great deal, other than sort of meeting people in person and obviously all working together in an office. But I don't really miss the office. And I do think that the freedom that working remotely gives everyone has kind of helped everyone in their team live lives on their terms, and spend more time doing sort of like quality things that they enjoy, or with their loved ones. So I'm not saying that it's for everyone, and I know there's like a huge difference between working from home and working remotely. I personally don't enjoy working from home, but I love working from different co-working spaces, different environments, and definitely different countries at the moment. But I think as long as you set up like a good workstation and you kind of have trust, put like pure trust in, the talented people that you work with, then you can still deliver amazing results. And, I still feel like we are all super connected. Sometimes we'll just leave Zoom open, if we're like working on a project, and it'll stay open for like 3 hours, and we'll just be brainstorming, throwing things back. Like it's not been an issue. I look forward to when it can be more like remote rather than working from home. I do think that working from home is not great for everyone. Some people, it can be really good for them, but a lot of people I feel like need to get out of the house and kind of separate work from home. I'm definitely one of those people. I don't enjoy like having my bedroom near my office. I couldn't work from a home office forever. But yeah, it's not hugely affected how we work. And actually say as well, productivity is through the roof for us. I'm not sure how that's changed, because we all worked really well in the office together. But I'd say that the work we're doing at the moment is some of the best work that we've done. So
no, I love that. And I completely agree. Like you're saying, with keeping Zoom open and having these live chats and instant messengers like Slack and stuff like that, it's having that fluid conversation. You can still keep in touch with people, and that conversation is still flowing. You don't necessarily have to be sat right next to them. But yeah, I think you are right. What you're doing right now, I think it probably is the future. But the problem with remote working at the moment and people trying to get out of the house is obviously travel restrictions and stuff. But as that gets lifted, I think it's all going to change. And I think it's quite inspiring what you're doing, and it's a new way of working. So just let's just imagine that lockdown restrictions have started to ease off, and this new way of working, people are kind of out there. What would your top tips be for anyone that is looking to remote work?
Yeah, I think it's just like two major ones that I've kind of figured for myself. So, like, the first one would just be to create like an actual workspace. I know you see a lot of people posting that they can like work from the beach in the blazing sun, but that's just not real. You can't see your screen. You can't concentrate properly. You need like electric, access to food, like peace and quiet, like to be able to, really focus and think about what you're doing. And obviously to be able to keep a Zoom call with your colleagues open for as long as you want to. And you have to be in kind of like the right frame of mind to be able to do the work. I'm sure that's pretty similar for everyone. And then the second one, I think, is just give yourself like proper working hours. Like, I'm still traveling and exploring, but I'm certainly not on holiday while I'm visiting these different countries.
Yeah.
I'm working hard so that when I'm not working, I can then go and explore and go surfing or meet new people or go to new places, try new food. So you definitely have to get that blend right and have like discipline within yourself to do that. I think that's really key. If anyone is going to kind of do this digital nomad thing, you're not on holiday and you're not traveling. You really are working. It's just from different locations. So as long as you give yourself enough discipline, you'll still do amazing work. But when you finish, you're in a brand new place, ready to go and explore. So
no, I completely agree. It's all about structure, isn't it? And it just being kind of strict with yourself when you're going to do things and giving yourself milestones. So I think that's a really nice point. So in terms of, I know you're not on holiday, but in terms of the actual traveling element, taking into account that this is probably one of the worst times to travel in history, how have you found it?
yeah, that's interesting. Really good question. So I think it's just about perspective, really. For instance, I don't really enjoy wearing a mask, but I also respect the rules of where I am. So I don't. For me, it's not a huge ask to do. I make sure obviously the usual things like washing your hands and being careful about like how many people you interact with and just not taking huge risks. But other than that, it's actually been, in some ways, the best time to travel. Now, that could be quite controversial, but a lot of the places I've been to, there's obviously not been many tourists there at all. So I really got to see like the beauty of a lot of places without lots and lots of people in. In some ways, it's been quite eerie, especially the flights, because on a lot of the flights I've had, there's probably only been, sadly, 10 to 20 people on that flight. So that's been quite strange. But obviously traveling now is super, super cheap. Flights, are really, really low. I know there's been a lot of restrictions that have come in recently in a lot of countries that people obviously can't go to because they've got that quarantine when they come back. But obviously for me, because I'm not coming back, it's kind of not affected me that much in that way. So I'm very grateful, and I feel very privileged to be able to do what I'm doing at the moment. But if I'm completely honest, like I just really wasn't happy at home. I found the lockdown incredibly tough for me. I didn't really enjoy it at the time, and my parents, one of their like close friends died of COVID back in March.
Sorry to hear
really
that.
bad. Yeah, but I mean, I think it really hits home. I think, for a lot of people, not many people have known people that have had COVID, let alone like actually experienced, the really sad effects from it. And I think, obviously a lot of people have quite mild symptoms, but it is horrific. And you have to be, aware of what you're doing and be responsible. And I do feel like I am being responsible traveling. But yeah, just the lockdown thing for me, I just really struggled with this sort of Groundhog Day, just waking up.
No,
back,
I know
back,
exactly
open the
what you
laptop.
mean.
Yeah. So the minute that those travel restrictions were lifted, I was straight out of there, and it was a last minute decision, but probably one of the best things I've ever done. And especially like traveling alone as well. Like I've met friends along the way. But a lot of the time I've been traveling on my own, and it gives you a lot of time to think about stuff and, to really experience places in a different way. I feel, you definitely experience it differently when you're on your own. And I've met like a lot of really cool people along the way, and working in different industries, getting different experiences. So it's been really good.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I think it's really nice insight to it. So do you have kind of a final destination that you're looking to get to? I mean, what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, do you know what? Everybody keeps asking me what is the actual plan. I think right now there isn't one, if I'm completely honest. If it becomes if we gets to a point where it's really affecting work doing this, then obviously I'd be straight back to England. But right now it's not affecting it in a negative way. My clients are all super happy, and I'd say a lot of my clients are kind of doing the same thing. And we're going to definitely reposition as less of sort of like a Manchester agency, and much more. I know it's easy to say this, but much more with a global outlook on stuff. So trying to work with clients from everywhere, and one of the best things about it is I am in these places, so I'm getting to immerse myself in their culture, and actually get to meet founders in person in different countries. So after here, I'm heading over to Dubai tomorrow to meet two founders who are making quite a lot of noise in the crypto blockchain space. So I'm really excited to actually meet them in person, because we've been working together for a few months now, and I've never met them. This is a strange thing about these days. So that's going to be good. And I think that Dubai is a very interesting place. I think it matches up quite well with the style of work that we do. And I'm hoping that may be a semi-permanent home for me for now. So I'm going to see how things go over there. But we've got a couple of clients over there, and so I think that's probably the right next step for me. But maybe not forever. I'm not sure. I'm just going to see how it is for now.
Well, look, if Dubai goes well, I will be coming out to join you out there. I'll tell you what, as soon as these lockdown restrictions are lifted even more and I can travel, I will be out of here.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. More than welcome, definitely.
No, I love it. So look, I just got a couple of quick fire questions then. So out of everywhere that you've been, where do you reckon your favourite destination's been?
Yeah, good question. I've really loved everywhere for different reasons, but I feel like Lisbon has my heart at the moment. It's a really cool city. Whenever I've gone over to Portugal, I've always gone to like the south of Portugal and never actually been over to Lisbon. But yeah, really cool city. It reminds me of San Francisco a lot. It's beautiful in its architecture. It's got a couple of beaches there. The bridge is amazing as well, like beautiful view. Really, really friendly people there. I made so many friends and clients, as I mentioned. So yeah, I'd say Lisbon, definitely. That's a place I could actually imagine living. And it's really good, like cost of living over there as well. Like you can live a good life over there. Food especially, just really, really nice food.
So second of the quickfire questions we've got here. If you could travel back in time, what do you wish you had known when you'd first started out?
Wow, so much. Ego is the enemy. Definitely. How can I delve more into that? I think when you first start and you don't know anything, you can kind of think you know everything. And you learn that very, very quickly. Because I think, building a brand or running a business, it really makes you look in the mirror at all your flaws, and they become very obvious very quickly. So you have to like learn and adapt and change and grow as a person. So I think if I was going to go back, it would just be to take my time a little bit more, focus more on the work and less on head count and office size, and just trying to like build this big business that you're excited about, and just really focus on the process and the work, because really that's what we're doing it for, isn't it? The work, developing talent within, and just getting to work with cool brands and building cool stuff. So yeah, that would be the number one thing I'd say to myself.
Yeah, no, I love it. I completely agree. And I think when you first start, it's like, grow, scale, take on as many people, as many clients as you can, when actually you need to take a step back, look at what you're really producing and make it the best work that you can. I mean, something that we live by is sell results, not services. And that's been our mantra, and that's worked for us. And I think you probably agree with that, with the work that you guys produce. Well, look, Anthony, we're out of time now, but I really, really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk to me and to give our listeners an insight as to what you've been up to. And keep in touch and let us know how it all goes in Dubai and how the meeting goes and how things develop.
Thank you. Yeah, I've really, really enjoyed catching up with you as well. And I wish you and all of your team the very best. And like I said, I will still be watching. I love all the work that you're doing. So yeah, give my love to everyone and keep sending over the work that you're doing. So it inspires me and inspires the rest of our team. We love seeing what other agencies are doing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anthony. Best travels.
Great to speak to you,
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye. Now, thanks for that, guys. It's been wonderful listening to Anthony today. Join us next week, where we'll be speaking to Carl Osmond from Driftwood Media. He's an ex-SBS registered photographer, and I think it's going to be really interesting, all the different stories that he's got and kind of what they've been up to. He is working alongside Unbox with a couple of aerial photography and film projects, which we'll discuss kind of in further detail on our next podcast next week. Have a great weekend, and thanks for listening.